Did you know that you shouldn't be afraid of your kids? Are you ready for some positive parenting changes? I'm Nicolene Peck, and I teach parenting, family relationships, communication all over the world through the lens of self-government. And in this video, we're going to be talking about what you can do so that you don't have to be afraid of the children. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a true story about a parent and her son, and I'm also going to be sharing with you key things that you can do to make sure you are not afraid of your children. Passive parenting is an increasing problem that parents are facing nowadays. Society seems to be promoting this passive parenting idea that parents should just sit by and let their child do whatever and that somehow everything's going to work out. They think that somehow the child will just come to all the truths on their own. That's very passive. It's actually bad leadership. Our children do need parents who will maintain their parental authority, who will teach them things, train them, correct them, so that they can know their boundaries and establish good united relationships. So if you want to have some good unity in your home, pay attention, because we're going to be talking about a family who didn't and what happened to them. I had a conversation with a mother a little while ago. Her name was Becky, and Becky had a son who was a tween. I think he was probably around 11 years old, and he was having a lot of problems. Problems at school, problems with friends, problems in the family. He definitely was not helping out with any chores or anything like that. He was definitely addicted to devices. He would steal devices even. He was very aggressive. He would get violent with her sometimes. He was getting into lots of addictions. I know, sexual addictions, things like that. She was really worried about this child. She was worried this child was going to destroy his own life, number one, because he was getting into so many bad things. But Becky also was just worried that she was never going to be able to have a good relationship with him. She was always walking on eggshells, emotionally, tiptoeing around him, trying to make him happy, trying to do fun things, but he wouldn't talk to her really. He would take the fun things. He had total entitlement. In fact, when I talked to Becky, I said, Becky, it sounds like your son probably has some entitlement issues, and it also sounds like he's trending toward narcissism. Now, narcissism is definitely a problem in our society today. I was very disheartened to hear that there is a movement where people are trying to say narcissism shouldn't be talked about as a condition anymore because it's so common. I thought, no, all the more we need proper training, because if we are creating more and more narcissistic people in our culture, we definitely are having communication problems, roles problems, family problems. We've got to do something about that. So narcissism is a thing, and it's a very dangerous thing. It makes it so that a person has a really hard time with relationships and bonding, and all the people around them oftentimes suffer as well. So we definitely don't want our children to go in that direction. Well, Becky did not want her son to go in that direction, so this is what she did. Before we talk about what Becky and her son did to end up creating really united bonds together and what you can do too, be sure to click that subscribe button. So there are so many videos on this channel that will truly give you the tools and skills that you need to strengthen your family relationships. You are not going to want to miss those, so click the subscribe now. Becky's son was telling her no for everything. She didn't think that anything could make it through to him. In fact, she was really worried that he would turn out to be narcissistic like some of his other family members had been. However, she was willing to take a step in the direction toward change and to try something new. So what did Becky do? She ended up learning about her own self-mastery. She started with herself. This was huge. Did you know that if you want to have any change happen for your children, you really need to start with you? When I am talking to people about helping their children, I am always first thinking of them as my target audience. Because if one parent can learn self-mastery or control or consistency over themselves, then I know that they can follow through with any teaching for the children that they happen to need. Because controlling ourselves is the hardest thing we ever do. Becky said to me, Nicolene, I'm kind of controlling. In fact, I'm pretty aggressive. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to be a calm person that can follow through with any of the stuff for my son. And I said, well, then let's start with you. Let's start learning about calmness for you. Let's get you going on a training or on a course. She attended one of my 3-day trainings. So I do these a few times a year. I also have a course where people can go through some of my training material at their own pace. But she went to one of these 3-day trainings, and after the 3-day training, she said, okay, I get it. I've practiced the stuff. You've coached me on this. Even though it's going to feel a little bit weird and bumpy, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to promise you I'm going to do it. I said, okay, you can contact me. You can, I'll hold you accountable, right? Having a person to hold yourself accountable to is really powerful. She happened to be a single mom, so she didn't have a spouse to check in with and to set goals with, so she just checked in with me for a little bit. Anyway, what happened was she went, it was a little bumpy, trying to overcome some of her habits. But then all of a sudden, because she stuck to it, because she decided she was going to be calm, that was her biggest takeaway, by the way, was calm. This is the 6-step process for how to be calm. I can do this, she would tell herself. And so she kept working on it. I have these little cue cards that help her remember some of the skills that she was trying to incorporate into her life. And she would look at that calm parenting card again and again and think, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And lo and behold, she did. She allowed herself to get calm because it is a choice that we make. And then after that, she decided not to take his behavior so personally. She decided to just be consistent and teach him with love and calmness, but make sure that she always held him accountable for not using the skills that she had taught him that he needed to use. He fought her. He fought her kind of hard too, actually went out of control multiple times. And she thought, oh no, is this really ever going to work? But then you know what? He learned cause and effect. And he started deciding, why am I fighting when in the end I always just get calm and talk to mom? So he ended up getting calm and talk to mom too, because she got calm first. And then she taught him the steps for how to be calm, and he finally decided to use them after her consistency and requiring that needed to happen in their home. I was really proud of her. That took a lot of guts, a lot of action, but you know what? Her bond with her child is so different now. Becky and her son look like they've always been the best of friends, when in reality they used to fight like cats and dogs. And she thought, I'm glad I didn't have any more children. I've already messed this one up. That's what she told me when I first met her. And I said, you know what? You didn't know what you didn't know, but let's teach you something. And let's start now. And so Becky's life has changed, and so has her son's. And your life can be different too. You don't know what you don't know. If you happen to be afraid of your children, probably it's because you're being too passive, or maybe even you're being too aggressive, and you don't have the skills that you need to be the assertive parent to get things happening the way you know they should be. There are many skills that your child needs. Skills like following instructions, accepting no answers, accepting consequences, disagreeing appropriately. And you need to know those skills too, for you, for your own self-government. Can you accept a no answer when that child is misbehaving and seems like they might be kind of scary? The answer is yes. If you practice the skill ahead of time, you can use it. And there are other skills you're going to need too. How to correct a negative behavior, how to handle intensive outbursts, how to praise someone properly, pre-teach them effectively, and how to counsel them and move them in a forward direction and use goal setting. I would like to teach you all of these things, so I have put a full class on this channel. The class is called The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success, and it talks about how you can set your home up to be better self-governing and to have a more united family bond together. We don't need to stay being afraid of our children. If we are afraid of our children, that should be a call to action, not a call to passiveness. Don't step back, they need you. They're asking for you to help them with that very behavior. And I know that because for years I took in troubled teens. They were all between the ages of 12 and 18, and they had some really aggressive behaviors. But guess what? After we worked deliberately on those behaviors, they ended up having a different view of the world and saw things with new eyes. They were allowing themselves to bond, to open up, to be honest, and to stop reacting. It really is possible, but it will take some deliberate action. I'd like to help you with that. So click on the link now to the video called The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success.